Okay, so welcome to everyone to our session today on the power of honesty. And this subject is, I think it's been one of my favorite subjects really over the last few years, mainly because it's something that I never really explored very much before. And it's something that's I find it very intriguing, just because the the virtue of honesty, which is what it is to start off with before it becomes a power, is something that, in a sense, it's almost like it's optional, or it looks like it's optional. you know. And it's also more difficult. It takes more energy to apply honesty in different parts of one's life. And so very often, one is tired and got so many other things going on. There's stress, there's all sorts of things happening. And so it's just easier to kind of take the shortcut and cut corners, as they say. But of course, the reality is that the price is actually higher than the effort it might take to practice honesty. And so I was thinking that, I mean, to just really to look at this quality, um, just to explore it a little bit and see where it takes us. And I find that honesty is not only the path to truth. So it's those thoughts, words, and actions that take us to something that is true. And again, whether that truth is beautiful or ugly, whether it's a truth that is about ourselves or about the world or about other people, about a situation, whatever it is, whether we will be happy or sad about the truth, but it's still the truth. And truth carries power within it. It carries the power of stability. It carries in a sense, the key for change, for transformation. And so I think, or at least as far as I've experienced it, that honesty takes me towards that state of contentment and of freedom, of bringing depth into my life, of bringing that sense of significance and meaning. So very often when honesty is missing, then things become very artificial and superficial. And that there's nothing more boring than superficial things after a little while. And so of course it's like life loses meaning when it's just one superficial thing after the other. I mean, how many conversations might you have had and think, oh gosh, I really wish this would go a bit deeper and or open up or have that sense of connectedness. Somehow honesty takes us into that sense that I'm connected, and especially with each other, but even more importantly with ourselves. And then of course also with the Supreme, with God. There's a whole aspect of honesty with God. So here we're looking at honesty with the self, and maybe principally that, but also honesty with others, and then honesty with God. I find that, or at least one of the things I found till now, is that the practice of being honest with myself and also with others actually goes towards breaking the ego. Because I might kind of, with honesty, I recognize certain things and I might admit to certain things, admit to mistakes or even to strengths. sometimes we feel ashamed of having some quality, that we think, oh my, maybe if I say that, then I'm being arrogant. Or if say some speciality, maybe I'll get, trapped into doing something, or, always being involved with something. And so, however, it's especially in terms of weaknesses and mistakes, it definitely breaks the ego. Because when I really recognize something, in a sense, somewhere where I missed something, or I didn't notice, didn't give attention for whatever reason, I was distracted, or I just wasn't present enough, then the realization of that brings with it humility, which brings, in a sense, a strength, because I'm allowing myself to learn something from that. And when I learn something, the first thing that happens is that self-respect grows. Because what we've become, what's been enriched is experience. And so honesty is really this amazing key to all of these things. And I think many, many more. So it takes us into the depth, it brings connection, it frees us from a lot of mindsets and beliefs that are really very, very limiting. And this is the incredible thing. And we look at this thing about our beliefs and how we can get to be honest about our beliefs. But the thing is that it's like honesty makes us much more robust and resilient to being able to face the truth. So if I've done it once or twice or a few times, and I'm getting into the practice of facing my truth, or facing the truth of what's going on, then it's as if we're less afraid of what might really be going on in any situation. So we will then be more willing to take a look and see what's going on. I know for myself that a lot of my journey, until really not that many years ago, was very much about kind of avoiding looking, because sometimes to to see to look and see what's going on can be very frightening. And so a lot of the time was spent in looking for other people as a substitute for myself, to say, no, it's okay, you're okay, keep going. And a lot of fear that, oh gosh, what if my beliefs about myself are really true? That what if I'm really no good, and what if I'm really so weak, and what if I find a whole lot of monsters inside? And so it's a lot of, in a sense, the uncertainty and the unwillingness to look takes a whole lot more energy than what it might take to actually just pluck up the courage and go in and see it. And that it is actually never as bad as one might imagine, because our imagination usually exaggerates. And so it's much better to be sure about the ugly truth, if it is ugly, than to just be there imagining what it might be. I don't know if you agree with me there. But certainly that's what it's been in my experiences, that if there is anger or jealousy, then it's better to know just how bad it is, in a sense. And at least then and at least you can change, you can start to do something with it. You can start to work with it, rather than imagining. And so I find that honesty is to go in and take a look, basically, and to see, well, what is actually going on? What's going on with me? And I find that the doorway to that, because sometimes you think, well, honesty, well, maybe that's just, being honest with money, or speaking the truth, or saying what's going on, saying what I did or didn't do, or being honest with my work. And it is all of that. But there's a whole lot more to it. And this was something that I found fascinating, because I never thought of honesty, especially in terms of deceiving myself. Because a lot of things that, well, I would say, but I didn't. That was not my intention, and that's not what I wanted, and that's not. But if I go a little bit deeper, then there's a whole lot of aspects that I'm kind of not, I wasn't willing to look at, which led up to me acting in a certain way, or having a certain attitude, or a certain, in a sense, a certain way of communicating, or not communicating, as the case may be. And just having a look at the chat. So what tools or steps helped you with developing the power to face? Yeah, and well, I mean, I think one of the things that certainly helped me to kind of want to take a look, or to face, was, in a sense, that sense of restlessness and dissatisfaction, that it was becoming louder and louder in my head and in my heart. And I knew that if I didn't do something about it, then I just couldn't keep going like that. I had to do something about it. And so that's what really made me want to look. And I think where there is a will, there is a way. Really, for me, this was absolutely true in terms of this whole thing of honesty. Is that before I never really kind of gave it much value. But when I began to see that, oh, actually, by using this virtue of honesty, which is looking, accepting, and taking ownership for what are my feelings, my emotions, my thoughts, my expressions. So one of the ways dishonesty is, at least that I found, was expressed is blaming other people, shaming other people, putting the responsibility for me on others. And so that's a big dishonesty, actually, because it's like saying, well, who stole the cookie, and and pointing the finger at a whole lot of other people when maybe I ate it. And so it's actually exactly that, where, well, these are my feelings, and this is something that I'm creating in my life. So how can I blame someone else for my feelings? They didn't create them, and they might have done something, and I was triggered by that. But I love this thing that one doctor, Dr. Gabor Mate, maybe you've heard about him, speaks of, where he talks about these triggers. He says that, okay, so maybe someone triggered, but who has the ammunition? Who loaded the gun? And so the thing is that it's our gun and our ammunition. And if someone put their finger in and triggered, then, and if there was nothing in it, then, well, their trigger doesn't do anything. But in fact, it's my ammunition that I am using on myself. And so the thing is to take out the ammunition, to diffuse the ammunition. And so then if someone triggers, well, doesn't do anything. It's like a flag comes out that says bang, and that's it. And that's no problem. And so yes, I mean, that was to answer your question, that was one of the things, was that sense of really discomfort inside, and knowing that I have the, in a sense, I have the knowledge, I have the information, and I also have the source of power. So what is it? Why am I not able to do something about it? And so that's where I said, okay, I've got to look and see what is blocking me. What is it that's what are the shutters that are shutting out the sun and the light from coming inside, or the light inside from going out, you know. And so I was not able to receive love and care, even though that's exactly what I was craving for. And neither was I really able to give it very much in a way that I wanted to. And so absolutely this thing of being able to say, okay, hold on a second, what is going on? I'm ready to look, I'm ready to see, I'm ready to go deep, to understand, to explore, to dig, and I'm ready to just stand there and watch what's going on, and to accept it as part of my journey, as part of my current condition. Because there was one very, very important thing. Why I was ready to do that was because I had discovered something that was deeper than that, a truth that was deeper than in a sense, deeper than my current condition. And so, because I had come to see myself as, in a sense, as okay, as blameless, as valuable, as precious, and begun to accept, in a sense, God's vision of me in that way and trust in me. And so it's like parallel steps going on at the same time. And that is what gave me the strength and the courage to say, okay, now let's look at the shadows, because I know that I am light, and I know that I am and I always will exist, and it's okay that I exist. So that very basic, solid foundation. And that's what gave me the courage to say, okay, I'm going into that cave, into that labyrinth, and I know that I will come out. And that's all these stories, like the story of the what was it called, the Minotaur, and the labyrinth, and Ariana with the string, and was able to come out through that. And so it's a little bit like that, okay, I know that I can face that. And so as I began to experiment with this whole thing of honesty, which is really very much ongoing for me, I began to see the power that it carries, and the power that it carries for me to get to know myself, which is the objective of meditation in the first place, to get to know who am I, and to get to know my story, to get to know the truth about myself. So the eternal truth about who I am, and also the truth about my journey. And so, which means my current condition. So to know what it is, to accept it as part of my journey, as part of my eternity. And so not just that, but also the practice of honesty, I find, is helping me to express myself and to express my truth in a fearless way, to stand up for myself, to be okay about being the same inside and the same outside. So if something doesn't sit right with me, I'm finding it just that little bit easier to say something to people, and not in the sense of complaining or blaming, but to say, look, when you did this or when this happened, then this is how I felt. And I feel that this is important for me and I want to share that with you and I want to express that. And then taking responsibility for how I'm feeling. So, again, being very careful not to put the blame on other people about how I'm feeling, how I am, what is my condition. And so, of course, what that means is that I feel so much freer within myself to that I'm not always hiding behind something. I'm not always hiding, you know, the truth about myself and what's going on. And I'm not ashamed of myself, which can seem really ridiculous in a sense when we look at each other, we think, but you're such an amazing person. We say this to each other, and but to ourselves, sometimes we say the opposite, and we feel that deeply. But actually, it's because there is some core toxic belief about ourselves, and the messages that we keep giving ourselves. And so I find that the key to, in a sense, to start off, because we need to start off with something in the whole practice or the ongoing practice of honesty, is when you're upset with something, when something's disturbed you. So, for example, the other day, I was calling someone and I wanted to tell them something, and I got a message back saying I'm busy. So there, off goes the trigger, and inside, what are the messages that are there? and I realized, oops, where am I feeling this? So I first started to feel that in my body, become aware. Okay, so I'm feeling this, in my stomach, and I find it's really useful to actually practice what they call the felt sense, to become aware of what you're feeling in your body when you feel triggered, when something's happened. And and then I began to observe my thoughts. So some of the thoughts were, some of the messages were like, okay, so what they're saying is you're disturbing me. So their reply was, I'm busy. But the message in my head was, I'm disturbing them. Now, that's not the same thing, right? Or the message in my head was, leave me alone. You are not worthy of my time. So can you see all these toxic messages that have deep roots? So it's obviously nothing to do with the current situation. One could also take the message, okay, they're busy with something, call back later, tell them what you need to tell them later. And so when I started to observe these thoughts, and it was almost amusing in a sense, if I hadn't also felt it, it would have been really like, almost like I don't know, a role playing, like an actor, taking something into histrionics about something little, and so I began to ask myself, okay, so what's the truth about this? and to start looking at things objectively, and still at the same time to stay with my feelings, because I know that this feeling is worth taking care of. So even though the thought messages that I might be giving myself, I recognize that, look, this is not true anymore. Maybe it was true sometime long ago, but today this is not true. I am worthy of my time. I am valuable, and and I am okay. And so it's like needing to remind the self again and again of these the true messages, and to me that is a practice of being honest with the self, because being honest is becoming aware of the truth. Honesty is the vehicle to take us to the truth, and truth is stable. So that immediately helped me to calm down, to let go, to just be with myself, and to focus on something else. You know? So not needing to, in a sense, chew that bone again and again and worry about things. Give some self-compassion, remind the self. And so yes, it's really about checking that moment, exactly the time when you feel upset, disturbed, angry, afraid, hurt about something. That is a brilliant moment to practice honesty. It's a great opportunity. And so I'm just having a look at the chat. So sometimes we tend to underestimate ourselves instead of seeing how proud we should be for the way we face everyday life. Yes, absolutely. And so this is why I feel we need to remind ourselves, because maybe other people will tell us, but it never carries the same impact as when we tell ourselves. Sometimes it might, sometimes, and especially if it's meant sincerely from other people, then it might just hit home. But usually it's only when I am already there that I can accept that. And so yes, it's not always easy to look at things with objectivity. Absolutely. And it's because the raging of feelings is like a torrent, a current that kind of we flow away, we get swept away with that. And so it's really worthwhile to anchor ourselves in the truth. This is the beauty and the power of truth. And the interesting thing is that actually in Hindi, the word for honesty and truth is the same. And so it's almost like they're synonyms. So in Hindi we say sacha, which means true, and sacha also means honest. And so it's really nice to be able to, in a sense, interchange the two, but it's also really useful to see the difference. And the way I see it is that the act of honesty is what takes me to the stability of truth. And that's what makes honesty into a power, into a capacity, or into a tool that I can use to get to know myself, that I can use to build my self-respect and to grow, to cultivate contentment in my life. So I was also interested to hear, and please feel free to share, but I wanted to share with you a couple of questions that let's see if I can find that. Yes, that can help us to find those, in a sense, those toxic beliefs within us. And this is something that has been shared by someone called Teal Swan. I don't know if you have heard about her. Let's see if I can put that. She has some very interesting transmissions also on YouTube on all subjects that you might ever imagine. But this particular one I found very interesting with these two questions about discovering our core beliefs. And one, so for example, in the moment that I am disturbed about something, so I might be angry or I might be hurt, but I'm feeling my feathers are ruffled, inside. And so one question that she suggests is, if that is 100% true, why is it so bad? So in my case, the belief was that I'm disturbing this person. The message is I'm disturbing them. And so why would that be so bad then? And I might say, because then they will never want to give me their time. And so if that's 100% true, then why is that so bad? And the second question there is, what does that mean to me? Or what does that mean about me? And so in fact, my answer earlier was, is that I am not worthy of their time. And so what does that mean to me? What does that mean about me? Is that I don't have any value. I'm worthless. And so I'm not worth it. And so this is it's like we don't even realize that we have these beliefs about ourselves. And it can be quite shocking to realize that these beliefs are running my everyday situations. They are running the way I experience what's going on, my interactions, the quality of my relationships. And so it's really worth to go in and check what's going on, what is going on. And it's the practice of honesty, where we know when we're deceiving ourselves and when we're being true to ourselves. And so these are these two questions. So I'll repeat the question. So one is, if that is 100% true, then why is it so bad? So answering that question for the self, what does that mean to me or about me? And then when I come to that core belief is, well, what would I rather believe? So if I've come to realize that I believe that I'm not worth it, what would I rather believe? And so this is where we can really get to know what we want as well. And what we want, who am I? What do I want? And what do I need to do now? And this was one of the things that Dadi Janki would repeat very, very often, is to say, to ask yourself these questions. And of course, she didn't go into all these things about beliefs and so on, but in fact, she went straight to the solutions, which was very, very interesting, and the sign of a lot of deep natural wisdom, which she arrived at, of course. And so coming to these three questions, who am I? What do I want? And what do I need to do now? And I think that it's the more we look at that, and of course, we each have different ways of reaching that, but definitely writing is one of the best, I find, one of the best methods to get in there. And somehow the act of connecting the pen and the paper with the hand and the brain somehow opens a whole lot of doors to the subconscious. Noting down dreams, noting down feelings, especially when we're upset or minimally sad or little bit off mood, little bit anything that you notice that calls your attention towards it. It's worth noting because it has a message. And sometimes we get stuck on the superficial message and we get even more upset with that. But actually there's an amazing gift behind all of that, where I recognize my core toxic belief and I can change that. And that's the amazing thing, is that as soon as we see it, and honesty is about seeing, as soon as I can see that, then I have the option to change it. It's when I don't see it, I don't even know that it's there, but it's just there in the background, kind of, like a villain there behind the scenes, running the show, and I don't even know what's going on. But I'm there kind of deceiving myself. And again, it's not that I'm bad, that I'm deceiving myself and therefore I'm bad. No, I'm deceiving myself and therefore I'm weak. Therefore I'm asleep. And all I need to do is wake up. If I'm asleep and I'm weak, I can get strong, I can wake up. But if I'm bad, then there's not that much hope. It's really difficult to become good if I'm bad. So in a sense, to take away those kind of judgments as well. And to look at the truth, okay, well, I have been asleep. For all these years, I've just not wanted to wake up and look. But now I am. Now I'm willing to look. So that's okay. Better late than never. And so yes, I find that it does take energy. It does take time. But it's really worth it, and it's really worth taking that, in a sense, to say, well, you are worth it. You are worth the energy that it would take for yourself, really. So I don't know if there's anything else that any of you would like to share, but I also wanted to read a little piece from Dadi Janki, and then we can have meditation. I mean, just an additional thought there is that together with this honesty, and looking, we also definitely need the whole practice of self-compassion, because otherwise we're just not going to want to look. Because if I see the ugly truth and then I start telling myself off, or I start to blame myself and beat myself up, then of course I'm not going to want to look. And so together with the honesty, we need the kindness, and starting with the self, and then of course with other people too, or with the situation or whatever it is. But here, in a sense, we've been kind of focusing on ourselves, really. The honesty with the self. So, okay. So this piece is about honesty and clarity by Dadi Janki. Honesty does not mean simply speaking your mind. Honesty means to be very clear about everything going on inside you. Where there is honesty, feelings become pure and clean. Honesty is where there are no other thoughts or feelings inside, other than those that God Himself would have. And so that's an amazing checking point, isn't it? To think that, well, is this thought something that would be present in the mind of the Supreme? the mind that is the most loving, the most benevolent, the most true, the strongest mind. Such clarity is reflected in your words. They will be filled with the power of truth and spoken with ease and without hesitation. The genuine honesty cultivated within you is what will reach out and touch others. So the genuine honesty cultivated within you is what will reach out and touch others. So in a sense, really the only work that we need to do is on ourselves, really. Even within relationships, the actual work is on the self. No. Okay. So are you ready to have a meditation now? Shall we do that? And I will share my screen and also some music. And again, you can tell me, please, if it's too loud or too soft or. Okay. Okay, is that okay in terms of the volume? Yeah, okay. Okay, so take a deep breath. And I feel all the muscles in my body relaxing. I become aware of the breath going in and out, helping me to become fully present, aware. Letting the light of my consciousness shine in my inner world. So that all the corners are illuminated. I find a very stable and peaceful position within. I don't need to do anything. This time is for me to be in peace and at peace with myself. I may observe the movement of many thoughts and tasks, issues and relationships. But for now, I observe them from a distance, knowing that I will come back and deal with everything with love. But right now, it's time out and time in. As I bring myself to this very safe and quiet place in the innermost sanctuary of my being. I take a moment to enjoy and feel the energy of calm that is so familiar and so natural. This is the original quality of the self. This is who I am, a being of peace. A being of pure love, of bliss. I reinforce this truth about myself. No matter what happens in my life, I can come back to this truth. I am peace. I am love. I am light. It is this truth that is my anchor, my stability. It is what stays standing when everything else falls apart. I am light. I am peace. I am love. And as I begin to connect deeply with this condition, I see my life from here, and everything looks different. I see with the eyes of love. of strength, of truth. And I take a deep breath and very gently I begin to feel my body, my hands, is my body relaxed? I notice my physical surroundings. And at the same time, in the background of my awareness, I know who I am. Thank you. So, thank you very much for your presence and participation. And I wish you all a very good afternoon